Before we start, make sure to like and subscribe to Anything Explained. Today we're breaking down the 5 simplest rules of blackjack that every beginner should know. These rules are easy to learn, based on real probability, and they can dramatically improve your decision-making at the table. You don't need to be a card counter or a math expert. You just need to understand how the game works and why these basic choices matter. So let's get started. Blackjack is one of the few casino games where your decisions directly affect your odds. The house still has an advantage, but smart play can make that advantage incredibly small. Most players sit down and rely on luck, emotions, or guesses. But blackjack rewards players who follow structure and stick to simple, statistically proven rules. The first rule is one that instantly changes how you read the dealer's hand. Always assume the dealer's down card is a 10. This doesn't mean the dealer actually has a 10 every time, but 10 value cards make up the largest portion of the deck. There are more 10s, jacks, queens, and kings than any other value. So if the dealer shows a 4, you treat it like they have 14. If they show a 6, you treat it like they have 16. This assumption gives you a clear mental picture and helps you make decisions based on probability instead of hope. It's one of the simplest shortcuts in the entire game. Once you start thinking this way, the game becomes much clearer. You'll begin to understand why certain moves are smart and why others get players into trouble. Now, the next rule builds on the idea of taking advantage of strong positions. When your starting total is 10 or 11, you're in one of the most powerful scenarios in blackjack. This is when you should double down. Doubling down means you place an additional bet and receive exactly one more card. That single card, when added to your 10 or 11, has a very high chance of producing an 18, 19, 20, or 21. These are winning totals. Players who don't double here are leaving money on the table. Over time, this rule alone can make a noticeable difference in how much you win or lose. The key is to recognize a strong hand and maximize its potential. Next is one of the most misunderstood parts of blackjack: splitting pairs. Many players don't like splitting because it feels risky or confusing, but statistically, 2 pairs are not created equal. Some should be split every single time. The best example is aces. 2 aces give you a total of 12, which is a terrible position. Splitting them gives you 2 fresh hands starting at 11, which is one of the strongest starting totals in the game. The same is true for 8s, but for a different reason. 2 8s give you 16, which is one of the worst totals in blackjack. You don't want to be stuck with 16, you want 2 chances to rebuild. Even if you lose one of the split hands, splitting gives you the best possible long-term outcome. These decisions might feel uncomfortable at first, but the math behind them is solid. Here's something most players never realize, and it's the reason these simple rules matter so much. Blackjack is one of the only casino games where following basic strategy can reduce the house edge to a tiny number. When you follow the correct moves, you're not guessing. You're using probabilities that have been tested millions of times. Most players lose because they trust gut feelings instead of math. But by sticking to a few basic rules, you instantly give yourself an advantage over the average player and protect yourself from the mistakes that drain wallets every day. Another important rule is knowing when to stop hitting. A hard 17 or higher is a position where you should always stand. A hard 17 means there is no ace acting as an 11. These totals are strong, and trying to improve them is usually a recipe for busting. Even if the dealer looks threatening, standing on 17 or more is the best mathematical play. Many beginners break this rule because they don't like how strong the dealer looks, or they panic when the dealer shows a high card. But panic leads to busts, and busts are how players lose the fastest. Standing on a hard 17 or more is a simple, disciplined rule that protects you from unnecessary risk and keeps your game consistent. Now we reach one of the most misunderstood rules in blackjack: what to do with hard totals from 12 to 16. These totals are uncomfortable because they're not strong enough to win consistently, but they're high enough that hitting could break your hand. The right move depends entirely on what the dealer shows. When the dealer is showing a 2 through 6, they are in a weak position. Using our first rule, if they show a 4, assume they have 14. If they show a 5, assume they have 15. These are totals that often lead to busting. In these situations, you stand, even if your total is 12, 13, 14, 15, or 16. You don't want to hit and risk busting when the dealer is already likely to bust themselves. But when the dealer shows a 7 through ace, the situation flips. A dealer showing a 9 probably has 19. A dealer showing a 7 likely has 17. These are strong positions. Your hard 12 through 16 is not good enough to beat a strong dealer hand, so you have to hit. Yes, It feels risky, because you might bust, but mathematically it gives you the best chance to win. This single rule separates disciplined players from gamblers who rely on guessing. Once this rule becomes automatic, you stop making emotional decisions and start making profitable ones. When you put all these rules together, the game becomes much simpler. You stop reacting to the dealer's cards with fear or impulsive decisions. You start thinking strategically. You understand why some situations require aggression and why others demand patience. You begin to see Blackjack for what it really is, a game of probability, not luck. And the best part is, these rules don't require memorizing complex charts or counting cards. They're straightforward enough for any beginner to follow, but powerful enough to dramatically improve your results. Let's recap quickly to lock it in. Assume the dealer's down card is always a 10. Double down on 10s and 11s. Always split aces and 8s. Stand on a hard 17 or more. And stand on 12 through 16 against a dealer showing a low card, but hit those same totals against a dealer showing a 7 through ace. Follow these rules consistently, and you'll instantly play smarter than most of the people at the blackjack table. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for anything explained. We post clear, simple videos that teach complex topics in an easy way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.